sites, correct?
Yes.
Okay, welcome everyone. Let me introduce you to Brad Whalen, the seller of the sites, the network that we're going to be going over. Brad, please, thank you for coming and say hi.
Hello.
And everyone listening right now, well, you're either, if you're listening live, and if you haven't already done so, dial in. That's what Brad and I we're correcting here. You can dial in using the mics on your computer, or you can call in, and then with the access code you were sent. To be clear, the only two people who will be talking during this call is myself and Brad. If you have questions, you can express those in the GoToMeeting software under questions. This recording is going to be up on Latona's within 24 hours, so you'll have access to the recording of it. So that's a little housekeeping right there. Without further ado, we're looking at a group of sites, and I'll let Brad go into more detail as far as which ones are making revenue. But the prospectus is also being, the prospectus is being generated on this one right now. Actually, it was generated. So anyone listening to this call live or recorded can request one via the Latona's listing. We'll send you an NDA to sign. Once we get it signed, we can send you the prospectus. So that was just completed. What we're looking at right now is a network of sites which Brad has had a lot of success in operating. The screen everyone is looking at right now is available on Latona's. Once you log into your Latona's account, these hyperlinks you'll see in blue, you can click on and they'll show the monthly breakdown of the revenue, costs, expenses, uniques, and page views. Those numbers are an aggregate of all sites being offered. All sites being offered are detailed in the listing, also more so in the prospectus. This is the deal page. Next, I'm turning to, and periodically through the slideshow here, Brad, you're going to be doing 100% of the talking, and those are really during the history period and also the admin section. So this is one of those sections. I'm going to put myself on mute and let you just kind of a snapshot. Tell us about the history, your interaction with the network, and anything that's relevant prior to that.
Okay, thank you. So we're looking at WebDesignLedger right now, or we call it WDL for short, as you'll see at the top header. It's kind of the flagship of the sites because it has the most traffic. So in 2010, when the economy was not great, I was presented with the opportunity to buy a site in the web design space, mainly a design blog. I knew nothing about it. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a front-end designer. I really didn't have any knowledge of the space, and that was in May of 2010. And that site's included in this portfolio. It's Design Mag, designem.ag. So I bought that site in May of 2010, and my history before that had been in e-commerce. So I was used to having to get inventory in, having to run paid ads, work on SEO, really have to monitor the bottom line. If you've done any e-commerce, you've got months where you lose money, you've got months where you gain money. If you got retail stuff going on, you're heavily reliant on the last couple months of the year and hoping that things kind of shake out. And so this idea of having a content generating site that makes money all the time, doesn't have as much chance to lose money, was very attractive to me and was really the main reason why I wanted to get in. So I purchased the Design Mag site and did not have any plans of purchasing any additional sites. But in 2010, the economy was really in the tank in the United States, and I started getting unsolicited emails from other site owners that said they had heard that I bought Design Mag and wondered if I was interested in buying their site. And so that's kind of where it got started for me. I bought a lot of sites between 2010 and 2012. And so the strategy is pretty straightforward. So the history, all the sites that are included in this sale, which is all the sites I own in that space, just so you'll know, pretty much do the same thing. They generate content. They all have a little bit different angle. I don't write the content. I pay writers to write the content, or sponsorships provide the content. So what we're looking at right here is just the homepage of WDL. So it's got a couple posts. It shows the aggregate number of shares for those posts. And so that's kind of an overview of what we're looking at right now.
There'll be a slight delay also, Brad. I put myself on mute, so there's no ambient noise. So that's good on that. Design Mag, the aforementioned Design Mag, anything relevant here that you want to talk about?
No, just so everyone knows, this has been a side project for me. So when you put, when you go to sell a group of sites, a lot of people have put like everything into it, and in my history with e-commerce, that's kind of where I was too, putting in long hours, trying to make things work, super competitive. That's not how I've treated this. So if there's someone out there that's looking at buying the sites that is thinking about working full-time on them, then I don't really know exactly what to tell you in terms of what to expect, but everything you're seeing from me today is from someone who has not taken that approach. What I've tried to do is I've tried to be strategic and figure out how to get 80% of the revenue for 20% of the effort. I don't really have time to look at them all the time. I've got a lot of business stuff going on that has a lot of infrastructure, and I just am not interested in that in this particular space, although you could do it. You could get a team of employees going if you wanted to and work on scaling it up. That's just not the approach that I've ever taken. I always was looking to just try to figure out the way to produce good content that would get continual traffic, and then sell banner ads, use Google AdSense and affiliate partnerships and sponsorships to generate revenue. So as you look at the sites, just want to make sure everyone understands that this is not something that I've spent a lot of time on. I basically have taken what someone else created, and I've just been operating it for the past 4 years, and just trying to continue what people had already done. And so that's kind of the approach in terms of looking at the different sites. They're just different little brands. You know, WDL ranks for a broad set of things. Design Mag is bigger in kind of free resources. So it's done well historically with like free Photoshop patterns, free Photoshop brushes. It's done good on tutorials. It's got some roundups that are pretty powerful, like it's got one on portfolio sites that's been very popular over the years. But each site just has a little bit different angle where it has kind of found its niche in the referral and search traffic.
Okay, thanks for that, Brad. You know, we've got a few sites here, so anything here? I mean, we can go over the. We're gonna spotlight the money makers and the traffic makers of the network, I guess. And I can even. Well, that's the last. This is the last site that we included. You know, a snapshot of the home page. I would imagine. I don't know if there's anything to talk about here. Okay, so obviously Facebook and social media presence. We'll get a little bit more into what you've done or haven't done as it relates to social media. We do in the listing, you know, you have exerted some effort into it, and some numbers of followers and things of that sort are put in the listing. But why don't you talk a little bit about the social media while we're on the slide?
Sure. Yeah. So the sites, if you don't know much about the design and development space in terms of blogs, it's nice because there's just a lot of people out there that are interested in graphic design and web design. And so there's and the thing is, if you're interested in those things, then you're online. So, you know, having said that, you know, Facebook pages, like this is WDL's Facebook page, has 61,000 likes. So that's a pretty engaged page in terms of, you know, Facebook standards. I think one of the other sites, Lost and Taken, that comes with the sale, has about 20,000. Design Mag has about 25,000 Colorburn has like 7,000. So there's several pages that have a lot, and I've always felt that the one of the advantages in the network is you're kind of spreading out that risk of one property having to do all the heavy lifting. And so, like, if I've got a post that I really want to see take off, well, then I can put it out across the different social platforms. On Twitter, not all the sites have Twitter accounts. It just kind of depends on the site. Like WDL is a very strong Twitter presence, has 148,000 and change followers, and they are super engaged in the design space. And actually, with that many followers, we actually have some success selling tweets through buy-sell ads. We sell tweets at $99 a pop, and that gets quite a bit of activity. I think Design Mag has around 38,000 tweets. So again, like I said a few minutes ago, I haven't taken a super active approach with the sites in terms of it's not something I work on all the time. It's always been kind of a side thing. But with the social presence, I've always tried to just make sure that we're posting on Facebook, posting on Twitter, trying to engage that audience, keep them interested in it. And my gauge of knowing if those things are going well is if they're growing or dying. And we've kept all those growing and doing pretty well.
Great. Okay. We'll touch on that a little bit. The aforementioned Design Mag, 25,000, as you said. Colorburn, sure. Close to 9,000 there. These are the three sites that we pulled archive.org, the Wayback Machine, on, and as the listing, the page rank of 6 is that's the WebDesignLedger. That's the one that, as Brad just mentioned, the one that gets the most traffic. So that's the one that the page rank is based on, meaning the site that we're advertising there in the URL. But right, you had the network for 4 years since taking it over roughly 4 years ago, and this may or may not be applicable for all the sites. I'm not sure. Have you done much as far as the design? Are there going to be a lot of different looks if someone were to go to all the sites through the years?
Yeah, no, not really. So I haven't really. I'm not a designer. I've got writers that post articles for the site, and so there's just been different times someone's given me an idea saying, hey, I think if we had a little bit different design here, we might be able to feature this or that better, or someone said, hey, I think we should try to speed the site up. And so we've done some different designs based on things like that. Design Mag's gone through a couple of redesigns, but not really. I haven't been real heavy with the redesign stuff. Mainly I've just kind of done it as someone has approached me and said, hey, I'd like to do this or that with it. What you find is I've used a lot of the same writers since I started, but there's a lot of people that want to write for the sites, and I just choose to use a small handful of them. You could spread that out and use lots of them, and they're all talented web designers, so they have things to bring to the table in terms of making suggestions and whatever it is, coding a template or whatever it is that you might want them to do. Having said that, they want, from what I've seen with the writers, I just have never had any trouble getting them to want to do this stuff, not just the writing, but the coding for the site. So I've never had any trouble getting, if I want something done to the site that I can't just do in the back end, I can just go to one of the writers and say, hey, do you know how I could get, I want to get a little feature going that does this or that, and it seems like they always come back and say, sure, I can do that for you. So it's kind of a nice setup. You mentioned the page rank of WebDesignLedger, and that is true. It's 6 page rank, and would definitely want to note that Alexa traffic rank is 11,000 in the world, so it's pretty strong. But also the other sites are pretty high page rank too. Design Mag's page rank 5, Lost and Taken's a page rank 5, Web Resources Depot is a page rank 5, Design Blog's a page rank 4. And also, if we've got people that are using kind of SEO metrics, things like that, to kind of see the value of the domains, domain authority, that kind of stuff. I use Moz tools for all my stuff, and these sites are just absolute animals in terms of natural links and domain authority. WebDesignLedger, it's got like a 80 page authority on its homepage, and I think it's like a 77 domain authority, and it's got like, I don't know, 40 or 50,000 really high quality links coming in, and that's the story with all the sites. And you'll see that that has not been gamed or anything like that. That's the nature of the web design space. It gets lots of links, gets lots of credibility, but these are sites that have definitely been built with foundation. This is not some fly-by-night kind of, hey, let's juice some rankings. They've been making money for years, and they've been on a very stable path. And since I've owned them, the earnings have only gone up. So I feel like that's a trend that can continue, especially if someone's thinking about spending more time than I have on them.
Great. Thanks for going into detail there. This is a confirm something here. Okay. Right. So obviously, what we're looking at is Google Analytics. I mean, obviously the design of the graph here is, it peaks, and I don't know if that's on the weekends they go down or whatever it is, but reasonably significant and consistent, I should say, as far as it's predictable. So what do you think is relevant to talk about on this?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't want to ignore in terms of the traffic where it's at. I've seen a lot of ups and downs in traffic since I've owned the network. Having said that, it seems to me that Google has always sided with giving a substantial amount of traffic to sites in the design space, and I don't see that trend going away. WebDesignLedger actually kind of had an inordinate amount of traffic for the. If you go back to January, we see the traffic is so high. It was almost inexplicable that the traffic was as high as it was. I mean, that was around 50,000 visits a day. So it ran that way for a long time. There's not a clear-cut way of knowing exactly what kind of triggered it kind of coming back down to earth a little bit, but I've worked pretty hard to just kind of see, what have we done wrong? Is there anything that I've not looked at correctly? And so here's what I'd like to say is, one, blogs in general. If you're looking at any blog network, Google has had a hard time dealing with the vast amount of content being created. And what that's done is it's made them have to target content more strictly, because if you look at how much content is being created every day, it's a large number. So sites like this have weathered that well. There's many sites that go down to zero that are just kind of not built with really good foundation, that were just kind of spinning articles and trying to rank, as everyone I'm sure is aware, through guest posts and all kinds of things like that. In the case of like WebDesignLedger, it kind of rode down pretty quickly in the beginning of 2014, and then as we started kind of looking at it, I just kind of took the same approach. We're going to create good quality content. There's no manual penalties. There's no anything like that. It's clearly algorithmic. But as you'll see, WDL has started on the path back up, starting around the 1st of October. And this is a trend that I've seen in blogs across the blogosphere, really. I've seen it in the design space. Clearly, I've got several sites that have a similar kind of thing where they're kind of in a period of recovery right now compared to where they were. I will say that I think that Panda 4, in terms of Google's algorithms, one of the things that they've come out and said about Panda 4 is that they were trying to pave a way for a smoother and less violent kind of situation with the SERPs. What's happened is when they would roll out a Penguin or a Panda update, there'd be these huge swings in people's traffic. And what they're trying to do is build those into their core algorithm where they can kind of mitigate the need for these large swings for people. And so when they launched 4.1, which was at the end of September, you'll see that WDL started to recover. And that's how I know that Panda was definitely part of the culprit. I'll say this, and I'm not sure that I'm right about this. It's just a theory that I have, but I've owned lots of sites that have ads being sold on them over the years, and the CPMs, the cost per 1,000 displays of the ad, vary really widely on those kinds of things. But the design space was the only one that I've seen where a really high quality site was getting super, super low CPMs. There just simply wasn't enough advertisers to cover all the page views. And so my personal feeling is that as Google looked at the design space, they did not feel that it needed to have so much traffic. They thought it could be better targeted towards other areas. I think because of all the links and all the credibility that the blogs get, it's taken some time for Google to figure out, well, these things are getting more traffic than we even want them to get because they're getting so many links and so many social mentions because there's so many people around the world that are looking at these things. So my feeling is that we're kind of settling into a sweet spot for the design space. I think this recovery that we've seen in Panda 4.1 that you see starting in October is kind of the proof of that. And also the CPMs have normalized. When I was getting like 20-cent CPMs, I thought to myself, either this traffic is just junk or there's just no money in this space. But what it really was is there was too many page views to really monetize. And so now the CPMs are much higher. They're more like what you'd expect. They're $1, $2, $5, $10. It just depends on what the campaign is and what's going on. And so I actually think that it's kind of set up now for a pretty bright future because I think Google has kind of gotten over their issues with the design space.
Okay, just as mentioned, put myself on mute here. It's actually nicely spread out. I mean, it obviously is skewed, and this is good via the U.S. or to the U.S., but these other countries that we're looking at have a substantial amount of sessions and their quality traffic. So have you done much trying to garner traffic outside the U.S. or anything? Or I know design is design, and that's regardless of the country.
Right. I really haven't. It's an interesting idea. And this is the breakdown for WebDesignLedger. They're all a little different. Some of them are heavier U.S. All of them are dominant U.S., which I think is good because it seems that a lot of the heavy advertising is done for products in the United States still. But I will say this: there are a few sites in the space that are doing bilingual. And there's at least one I can think of that's doing really well with it. They're basically running 2 language versions. And so I've always thought, if this was all I was doing, what would I consider doing? Would I consider having a Spanish version? Would I consider having, a French version? Because there seems to be some real opportunity there. Obviously, those countries can translate the pages, but if they were written for them, I think that Abdazito, which I couldn't spell that for you, but if you Google Abdazito, that's a big bilingual site, and they've just done fantastic with it, running the 2-language platform. And anyway, so just I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it. The traffic's always been very diverse, lots of countries. You can get little spikes. You'll get little social hits and referral links. I said there's lots of referrals. I mean, there's been 100 times in the last 4 years where I've been sitting there going, oh, I wonder what's going on with the traffic there. It really spiked up today. And then I go look, and it's some blog or some site that I've never heard of that's in a different country that's promoting one of these sites. And so it's always nice to see that.
Good. And Brad, I don't mean to, we do have, just given the software we use, we are on a little bit of a time constraint, so thank you for the detailed answers. Not at all. Thank you for the detailed answers, but just wanted to get a little bit more now into the admin section. This is where, if it says on the upper right-hand side, admin, when you're done talking about it, just say next, and I'm going to advance the slide. Okay. But doing a great job, and I'll have the floor. What are we looking at?
Well, it looks like we're looking at keywords coming in. So there's a wide variety. I think you're going to see across the network we're targeting probably 20 or 30,000 different keywords successfully in Google for first page results. And so it's very broad. You got lots of opportunity. Next. Look here, looks like we're looking at just referral from social. So you'll see some names on there that you're not familiar with. Those are from outside of other countries. Stumble Upon has a mind of its own. I don't promote that stuff to make that happen. It just brings in a ton of social, all the sites bring in a ton of social traffic on their own. You don't have to do anything to make it happen. The writers, the people in that space find what the writers have written, and they promote it for you. Next.
I'm sorry,
like
we could just continue the analytics. Go ahead.
Yeah, so similar kind of situation. Design Mag got hit pretty hard with Panda 4, and so as it kind of rode down, it's kind of in the same boat where I feel like now it's in a position of recovery. And we won't know for sure until we head into the busy season. January and February starts the real climb into the school year. December is a soft month in the design space because it's heavily correlated with school schedules. So what I would say about traffic concerns is I've seen this exact kind of graph since I started in 2010. It just depends on what time frame you want to look at. There's been some swings up and down that are pretty wide. What I've figured out about it is that there's so much traffic anyway. I haven't had a hard time making money. I've earned more every month, every year. That's a consistent picture that you'll see across my financials, which I can provide. I've got 3 years that I've delivered to Latona's, but we've got everything, so you can see what the earnings are like. Next.
Okay. More as far as really kind of just furthering the discussion that we made, looking at WebDesignLedger, where mostly U.S., but quite a bit of traffic coming from different quality countries. So nothing really more to talk about there. This is the breakdown of the traffic: organic, referral, direct, social. What areas do you think can be most easily improved upon?
Well, I don't know how you would improve the referral. I've never pursued any referral links, but to me, the vast number that is coming in seems to be so much that your efforts would kind of get drowned out by the other things that are happening naturally. Again, with organic search, I've tried to pick topics that I want to cover, or my writers have suggested topics that they think we should cover for the space, and we've used those. And so I certainly think that's something they should continue. Watch the top players, kind of see what they're posting about, kind of make sure that you're covering the bases there. Another one is email. We haven't talked a lot about email today, but the sites do come with a 67,000 double opt-in list. It's mainly used right now for sponsorships. But I think that there's a lot that can be done there. Most of the people I talk to in the industry that do kind of blog type stuff, their email list is their most valuable part of their revenue stream, and that's just not the case with what I'm doing. It's mainly been a time thing. I've never really spent time on it. Like I said, I've tried to spend the 20% of time to get the 80% of the pie. So I think if someone wanted to take a really active approach with email, that would be a very smart move going forward. Next.
There you go. And more, if there's something you want to point out about this, but more.
Well, I mean, just to show the breadth. So you saw WebDesignLedger. I can't remember. It was ranking for like icons and different things like that. You can see here with Design Mag, Illustrator brushes, super broad. Look at the number of people coming in for it, and look how long they're staying. InDesign tutorials, Photoshop patterns, and so what you'll see with each site is there's just a wide range of breadth in the design space. They cover every single general kind of topic, and then they also get down to the very specifics where people are staying for 10, 15 minutes reading a post. So you'll see tons of breadth in the keyword traffic. If you like organic traffic, these sites are home run for that. Next. Nothing to say on these. Same kind of thing. Breakdown of social traffic, whatnot. You see Stumble Upon doesn't have as strong of a presence. Color Burn. Here's another. Go back to that one if you can. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you Stumble Upon was like dominating on the WDL, and on Design Mag, Twitter's number one. So it varies with the different sites. These things are not anything that I've construed. This is the natural flow of social traffic to a website producing things that are socially friendly. Color burned, so is a stronger picture than DesignMag in terms of the traffic recovery. You can see where Panda 4 launched past the April mark there, where you see the decline, but you can see now that it has is normalizing back to its what we'd expect, and I would expect to come January and February we'd see a nice spike up once the school traffic started hitting again. Next. Breakdown, nothing really to say here. Again, you see a wide range of countries and things that are accessing the sites. Gives you lots of opportunity to kind of look for angles there. You'll see, like, Colorburn is a little bit unique, and just so you know, Colorburn is not the third largest site. I think they just picked it. I didn't tell Latona which ones to pick, so Colorburn is actually a very small site in the group, but I like that they put it in here because Colorburn is an example of one that does way better on the referral side than organic, whereas a lot of the other sites dominate in organic. So, you know, it doesn't have the breadth of organic search that the other sites do, but it's kind of nice to kind of show that you're not relying 100% on Google here. Google can do the ups and downs. Obviously, there's a ton of traffic coming from Google, but these sites have a ton of referral and direct visits and social visits coming in that have nothing to do with Google, and so there's some opportunity there. I've never leveraged it, but I know it's there because I just see the vast amount of visits that are available. Next. This is referrals, looks like, for Colorburned, and it's funny, if you see DesignMag has sent 52,000 visits to Colorburned, that is nothing that I construed. DesignMag posts things from around the web, around the design space, and so that's something that's been going on for as long as the site has been there. That DesignMag was a big referral for it. And then these other sites that I don't own at all, Photoshop VIP, Specky Boy, that's a big site. Design.tutsplus, that's a huge site. Noop, Vandelay Design, those are all really big sites in the space. Send a lot of traffic to Colorburn on the referral side, and I would expect that to continue. Next. Same kind of thing. Colorburn, as you can see, is super broad in its approach here, and I would guess, without looking at it, that some of these on the organic side are coming from image search. So the sites not only rank for items in the regular search engine results, but when you click on the images in Google, you will find a widespread amount of content from Colorburned, Lost and Taken, DesignMag. They all rank really well in image search as well as regular search. Next.
Something a little bit different here. Brad, I apologize. External backlinks. Just so it's clear, and I got a little bit of a question here. Is there anything active you're doing as far as getting backlinks?
No, never have. So that's what I want to just make sure that I clarify. For one, if you want to make sure, like when I'm going out and buying sites, I always want to understand where the link profiles are coming from. It's pretty hard to spam a Google link profile that won't be seen by someone else. As anyone that's listening to this that's tried to buy sites, so you can see the people that are doing it poorly. But I don't make any active efforts. I can't beat Google at their game, so I'd never have tried. I always just try to follow the rules and see what I can do. So one thing I would encourage you to do, if you're looking at the number of backlinks for these sites and you're thinking, how can this even be possible? Just go look at the top design blogs in the space. There's other sites. I've named some of them today. You can just go look at their backlink profiles. You'll see this is an industry thing. The industry has a massive amount of backlinks. And so I think that puts it in a really strong position, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands, like, there's some crazy numbers you'll see. Like here it says external backlinks, 377,000. That's just a dominant amount of backlinks. And I think there's potential, just as a side note. So like when I was talking about domain authority, which I don't use Majestic, but I use Moz tools. And on a domain authority side, I said that WebDesignLedger has a domain authority of 77 and a page authority of like 80. Well, Smashing Magazine, which is by far the most dominant site in the space, they've got like a 80 domain authority and like an 84 page authority, and they've got a team of like 15 people working on the site all the time. And so the metrics behind these sites, I believe, are in a spot where if the right person that's going to put the right kind of time into it got a hold of them, they could really take off and compete. That Smashing Magazine site, I wouldn't be surprised if it was bringing in millions a year based on what they're doing. If you just look at their advertisers or get their media packet, last time I saw it, they had like 11.5 million page views a year to sell. And so I think they're probably bringing in a pretty hefty sum of money each year. But I don't know what else to say about it, but I'm not doing anything active on backlinks, and I never have. We're producing good content, and I do that with the writers in the space, and then people link to it naturally.
That's pretty clear, and this just shows the profile. This is people can easily access that, but that answered the question, Brad, and I appreciate it. Here are some sites that you're linked with. You know better than me. Anything here relevant as far as the actual site names?
InDesign Studio is a very reputable site. I'm not familiar with some of those other things that are being linked there. Of course, Wikipedia, I'm familiar with it, but you know, it's just the thing is what you're seeing is, and I think as you dig into it, you'll see it's pretty clear. It's just it's a massive amount of backlinks. I honestly don't think that it would be worth my time if I thought I could do something with the backlinks to try to compete with the already gigantic number of backlinks coming in all the time with these sites. It kind of takes that piece of it becomes a non-issue in terms of the way I look at it.
That's a good thing. Yeah, good stuff. I don't think we need to belabor this, especially given the time. I think, you know, you made this clear as far as there's a lot of external backlinks through no effort of yourself, just writing quality content, and that is the way to go as far as not trying to trick Google at its own game. So I think that's been made very vividly obvious. You know, some of this stuff is going to be in the prospectus for people who want to delve more into it. Obviously, there are some access tools that we're looking at, SEMrush. Anyone can go in and find this information at their fingertips. I mean, other than just being, you know, as mentioned, it given the update, but now just very stable, and that's something that I think, you know, if a buyer knows what they're getting into, and if they can see, you know, trends, that's from our interaction with buyers, that's probably the most relevant thing. Just
sure.
To the degree that's possible, what can we expect? Keywords you're ranking for, and you're not buying any AdWords or anything like that.
No.
So all large stuff, I'm looking, unique business cards, restaurant. Okay. That's for WebDesignLedger, same concept, I think, with Design Mag as far as the keywords go. Again, anyone listening to this is something that you have access to, and maybe you're looking up right now as we're talking. So it's not that crucial. We spend a lot of time on it, other than just note that, you know, this is stuff that's just happening naturally that Brad's not doing anything with. The thing that does it is relevant to discuss a bit is the, you know, this is a good thing, the increase in uniques over the network. The recovery that it made between August and September and October, I mean, part of that, I think, is seasonal, isn't it? Is it not, given the summer, or?
Actually, so if you, and I hate to get too far into this, but so when Panda 4 launched, which is Google's, if you're not into the search game, Panda is just a content algorithm that Google has written, that they have, instead of just doing content penalties, they have written an algorithm into their core index that looks for signals of poor quality content or other things that they would not want to rank at the top of search engine pages. So when Panda 4 launched, design blogs had some, not just my sites, all the sites had some indicators that kind of tipped their radars. And I even sent some of the people at Google some messages saying, hey, did you guys mean to kind of wipe us out accidentally whenever you did this, because we're producing good quality content. There's nothing spammy going on here. Well, then when they came out with 4.1, and if you look for the news reports on 4.1, the design space was the big winner in 4.1. Google came out and they made a statement about it. They said that some of the signals that they use to determine sites for being low quality content had done some unfair results for people in the design space. So I'll just give one example. Design blogs have a lot of images. Designers like to look at images. That's what they're doing. And so when they find posts that had lots of images, their software, their algorithm was basically saying, hey, here's a lot of images, so this must not be relevant content. So they killed it off. And then they came back and made a citation saying, hey, we saw that there were certain profiles for certain types of industries where they were getting harmed unduly by the things that we had done, and so we corrected the problem. So the reason why I think this is important is before that time, Google had never acknowledged that they were taking traffic away from the design space. The reason why I feel like the future going forward for the design space is strong is because Google has acknowledged, okay, there's this industry out here that has lots of content. They have lots of images in their content. The time on site's not super high. It's got tons of traffic, and yet we took traffic away from them, and now we're going to give it back because we realized this is high-quality content that we need to have out there. So it's the first time since 2010 where we've seen any kind of citation from Google saying, here's what we did. And so I just feel like that's a really relevant thing to kind of have in your mind, that we finally got someone at Google to pay attention to the design space and say, oh, we did something we shouldn't do. And so this graphic right here shows it perfectly. We had a couple of shaky months, but you'll see my earnings are still strong as you look at the financials. I just want to make that note. But you also see the recovery, which is, I think, is a very important point to make.
Excellent. Thank you for making it. And yes, it's very relevant. The page views, up, down, up, but reasonably similar graph there. But no, thank you for explaining that. That makes a lot of sense. This is purely your admin section right now. Brad, we've got about 15 more minutes, and I'm not trying to put you on the clock here, but just kind of give us the highlights here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I can go through these very quickly. So, just so you know, this is the WordPress dashboard. If you never run a WordPress site, then this won't look familiar. If you have, it probably looks very familiar. This is what every WordPress site looks like pretty much out of the box. I don't do much in these admins. The only thing I do for the sites is give user accounts to writers, which you'll see that on the left side there. It says user. And I also post the posts. Since I don't spend time writing the content, I've always felt like I needed to do something to make sure that I know what's being put out. I need to know if something's not like up to snuff or if it doesn't look like something I'm wanting to do. So when I get up in the morning, I come in, I log into the admin, the sites that are going to get posted that day. I find the post, I click the post, I see the new drafts. I say, okay, this is the post that's going out today. I peruse it, make sure it looks okay, and then I hit publish. This takes all of about 10 minutes to do it. I'll probably publish, 2 to 3 articles a day across the network that are already just kind of sitting in there ready to go. And I do it through this dashboard. All I really use on here on a day-to-day basis is posts and users. That's about it. Next, yeah. Same thing, this is the post, just like I was saying. This is showing us a post that's going to be called 30 flat circular vector icons. And so you can publish it from there, and that's about it. Next. This is an ad setup. I don't use it actively. Actually, one of my writers that has helped me with some stuff has set it up. But it's just letting us know where we can slot the ads in on the page. So it has the AdSense and the buy-sell ads zones included. And so there's up to 4 ads on a single post page. And one of those is a buy-sell ads ad, and the other 3 are Google ads. And all this is just assigning them where they go. And if you buy the site, you could just leave it alone, or you could get in here and tinker with it and make changes. Add more ad zones, do whatever it is you want to do. Same thing as the visual look of the post. So if you don't like the way the code looks, then you can just hit the visual tab, and it shows you what the post looks like to other people. Next. WordPress, as I'm sure many of you know, you can change out themes on the fly. So if you have someone that says they want to build a theme for you, you can have them load it up, and then you can just push a button and look at it and see how it looks. Or you can just go back to the one that you have. And so you can see here that there's several themes available for WebDesignLedger. It shows the different iterations that it's had since its beginning. The one we're using right now has been going on since around January of this year, I think. And so no need to go here if you don't want to change the theme, but if you do, they give you a nice way in WordPress to do it on the fly. Next. This is just where they don't actually go to the media library, but anything that gets uploaded to the site, like for a post, gets stored in the media library. And so you don't ever really need to go back in here, but it's just the kind of WordPress version, the kind of front-end version of those images that are being stored on your site. If you're just writing a post, or if someone's writing a post, they can just upload them straight into that post, but they get included in this media library. Next.
Okay, we made it through ads, and as mentioned, I mean, as obvious, what we're looking at right now is a nice trend over the last half of the year is increase in revenue. So why don't you talk about that? Why is that?
Sure. Okay. So the main reason for the large increase is the addition of WebDesignLedger to the portfolio. That was something that I've been working on for several years, and we just could not come to terms. We started trying to work in earnest on it in January, and then we finally got it done in August. So that's the main growth in revenue has come from the addition of WebDesignLedger to the portfolio. But there's also been some other things going on. Ad sales have been very strong this year. Another thing is sponsored content has kind of taken over. So if you go back in the last 2-3 years, everyone wanted to get guest posts, and what they really wanted was try to get some links in Google. And so that's not something that I was ever willing to do, and so never really played that game in terms of trying to give away editorial-looking links for non-editorial people. And what's come out of that is people have said, well, is there a way to do it that agrees with the FTC and Google? And that is sponsored posts. And that's just basically saying, hey, it's an ad, but it's a post. And so Buy-Sell Ads, who brings in a lot of revenue for the sites, has another platform called Syndicated Ads. I also work with a company called Baugh Media and a couple others. And they just contact me and say, hey, we've got somebody that's wanting to do a sponsored post on this topic. We can, some of it, times it has set rates, sometimes it doesn't. And that's how it goes. And then we publish the content, we get paid. Like WebDesignLedger, a sponsored post on WebDesignLedger through Syndicated Ads. They're selling it off for $995, and so getting a couple of those a month is a pretty good little deal. Some of the other sites you're looking at $200-300, but these are sponsored posts. They're not. This is not selling text links. The links are no follow. They're marked as sponsored. It's an advertisement. It's like an advertorial in the form of a post, and it's become very popular over the last year and a half, and revenues continue to climb because of it. Same thing with the cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold is the fees to Buy-Sell Ads. Buy-Sell Ads is basically an ad network that marries up publishers and advertisers. So they sell banner ads is what they do. I could go sell these banner ads on my own if I wanted to, but I don't. Buy-Sell Ads is worth every single penny of what they give me. So with Buy-Sell Ads, they have a network where advertisers are shopping for ads. And then they have publishers on there, and I'm a publisher. And so all my sites are listed on there, and all my prices are listed on there. And then they have people that buy, or they have people that work for Buy-Sell Ads that push people to buy that are looking for larger media buys through Buy-Sell Ads. I pay them a 25% cut of the ads. And so you can just see that the cost of those ads, varies month to month, depending on how many private ads I have going or anything like that. When I added WDL, and even before that, they were going up because ad sales were going up for the year. And so that's just basically the cost of the goods that I sold. So if I sold $20,000 worth of ads, then I would have $5,000 worth of expense on those ads.
Thanks, sir. It's a very clear explanation. What are your static costs here?
Static costs are just very straightforward things: hosting, MailChimp. I've got some costs in there that you wouldn't necessarily have, like QuickBooks. I use a monthly. I do QuickBooks online, and I do that so I can access it from anywhere, and that's a monthly fee that's included in there, which you wouldn't have that. But it's just pretty straightforward. The expenses are just basically the hosting, any kind of like programming tweaks or anything I would need to make, which are very minimal, and then the things like MailChimp. MailChimp, that 67,000 person list, and MailChimp costs somewhere around $300 a month, maybe a little more than that, and so that cost is in there too. But they average, the expenses are always low. There's no chance to lose money. That's one thing I love about the design space. I've been in a lot of businesses where you can lose money in a month. You're not going to lose money in a month in this space. You basically, your costs are always going to be below the ads that are coming in for them. I mean, there's just too much traffic for there not to be.
Okay, and Brad, if you would, and I appreciate it, very briefly tell us, your skill set, not a resume, but you've already, said you're not a designer by trade, but just kind of paint how, your skill set, and then given what you bring to the table, how long it takes you to operate the network.
Sure. So I'm a finance guy, and my skill set is in finance and business and SEO. I became very interested in search engine optimization in 2004 and helped build a custom t-shirt company, which I still co-own with 3 other guys. Helped take it from zero on the web to a pretty substantial player in the custom t-shirt space. And so did that through SEO. These sites were of interest to me because I loved all the search traffic. That was my first kind of thing. Because I have gotten in the space, now I've learned a lot of things about just kind of the day-to-day of a content platform, not just a product kind of platform, but something that's delivering content, ad strategy, those kinds of things. But a lot of that I've just learned on the fly from doing the things. In terms of what's required, I always want to make this note: zero time is required. These sites you could not post, and you could just sit on your hands for 6 months, and you'd be shocked how much traffic and earnings you had still. But if you want to try to keep the sites up to date like I have, and try to produce content that might have a chance of helping you grow, then I would say that the minimum requirement is about 15 hours a month. And the way I break that down is I'd say you've got about 5 hours of strategic and financial work to do. You got about 10 hours of just posting and putting stuff on social media and just doing very mundane things like just making sure that you're getting the posts out there, making sure that the sites look okay, checking the ads, just checking the analytics, just making sure that everything's intact.
What do you think the future holds?
I think the future, if you do what I've been doing, is going to just be a very steady thing with them. The earnings continue to go up, but I think those will level off. If someone was just doing exactly what I did, I think what you'd see is kind of what I've seen the last 3 months. I think you'd see between $20,000 and $27,000 in revenue, and I would expect that you'd see that for the foreseeable future. This space has been out there. The design block space became heavy in 2007. It's been very strong since 2007. It's not going away. In fact, I could make an argument that there's more people getting into it, not less. And so it depends on the approach of the future owner. If you got somebody that's really interested in doing something great, I can show you what you need to be doing to be great. And to me, that takes some more time, investment, and risk in order to be great. But that's where you could get the huge growth potential to see these things right up to 3, 4, 5, 6 times what they are right now. That's never been my approach. I've always been more of I want to keep it steady. I've got I've got a lot of money in these, so I want to keep the investment steady and stable and just make sure that I'm taking care of everything. I don't want to do anything that's too high risk. I look at it as a business investment. And so if you took my approach, I think what you could expect is to see the kinds of results that we've been seeing.
Okay. Why are you selling?
I don't really want to get into the specific reason. I did mention to Latona that it would have to be under NDA. It doesn't have anything to do with these sites. It has to do with my core business and some other things that I have going on with that and other endeavors. So it's more of a personal reason. But if someone decides to buy the site, as long as we're under NDA, I'd be willing to kind of make sure that they're clear on why that is. But I actually love the sites. One thing I'd like to say, WDL.
Sure.
I worked on that acquisition for years. It took me forever to get it, and I finally got it in August, and it's a little bittersweet now in December to be thinking about getting rid of it. That was kind of that was the site of all sites for me to buy in terms of the way I was looking at it. But just with some things that I've got going on, I felt the need to kind of shore up my time, shore up my investments, and kind of clear some things off my plate.
Understood. Brad, you did a great job as far as questioning and answering. I've weaved some questions in, but you were definitely proactive and addressed a lot of the stuff as they presented themselves. So I don't have any remaining as a group. That's great. Everyone listening live or recording, my name's Adam Beebe. My phone number is there. It's there. My email is adam@latonas.com. You can add me to Skype, adam.latonas. I work a lot, so I'll definitely get back in contact with you directly. Right. Brad, you did a great job. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you for a very thorough explanation. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will be hearing, I'm sure, from a lot of